Welcome to Full Scope, a podcast with two guys in their 20s giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man.
That's good.
Yeah.
A lot of topics to get into today as usual. And to start it off, this past Thursday there were the reports that came out of Kyrie being out for the entire season. He originally underwent the knee surgery to remove the tension wire in his left knee, and they're originally expecting him to be back um, in 3 to 6 weeks to perform basketball activities, but now it it took a different twist, different turn, and now he's out for the rest of the season, and they're 12-6 without him. But this is obviously a major blow to the team. The entire season, like we talked about, I think in the last podcast or the podcast before, where we were saying it just felt like a weird season where it was injury riddled. First 5 minutes of their opening game, Gordon Hayward suffers that horrific injury, and now this. So how do you? I feel as though they can still win a first round series, but second round and beyond, it definitely puts a dent into it. But what do you feel as though their current state is?
Yeah, like you said, excuse me, like you said, I think they can make it past the first round, even make a second round, take it to game seven and make it interesting against a team. But they have faith in Terry Rozier. He's not Kyrie, but he's a guy who can get the job done at the point guard position. You still have Marcus Smart. He's come back off his injuries that he had during the season. You still have Jaylen Brown playing good ball. Jason Tatum shooting uh, over 50% around behind the 3-point arc. So this team is without the two top guys that they went and purchased or got in the offseason in Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. It's kind of it leaves the balance of your squad kind of off because we have these questions in the season. Can they score without Kyrie on the court? Now they say, can they win without Kyrie on the court? Now they 12-6, they're going pretty good, but it's not enough to sustain them in the playoffs. I don't believe so. First round, most definitely to get out. First round, second round, it might slip up and lose a game seven, or I hope they don't get swept. I don't think they don't have the squad to get swept that bad,
Yeah, I
but
don't, I don't, I don't see that.
yeah, I think they're still pretty decent shape. But without Kyrie, man, it's got to be difficult
Yeah,
um, to sustain the team, man. To be honest.
yeah, and I mean that's 24 points you're missing now. Average 24 points. They've scored 4.1 fewer points per 100 possessions without him, and that ranks 26th in the league. And
Right.
but they still have the one of the league's best defenses, and that's like their identity. And during their stretch when they beat the Raptors, Thunder, Portland, and Utah, um, they scored 2.9 points per 100 possessions, and that type of offense that can propel them to get farther than they would expect in the playoffs. But who do you feel as though has to like step up now? Like I feel like a lot of the offense is probably going to go through Jason Tatum, and obviously when you don't have your key um, gritty defender in Marcus Smart right now. I don't know when he's going to come back, but he's still out. And but who do you feel as though may have to be the spearhead this offense now?
Al Horford. Um,
Hmm.
I think he's a guy who has experience with the Atlanta Hawks, and when he came to the Celtics, he's a guy who can anchor the defense as well as the offense. I'm not taking anything from Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, none of those guys, but he has the experience, the leadership to do so, and he has to do it. To be honest, he's the big guy. He's been in national championships. He's been on teams that went almost broke the record, but they were I think it was 66 and something. They went on a winning streak when he was in Atlanta. He knows how to win. He knows on being on a team to win, but he has to step up. He has to be that vocal presence in the huddles on the floor. He has to step up. He's the guy. He's been in the league long enough that any of these guys on the court. Um, but I think Al Horford has to be the guy. He can shoot from the 3-point line. He can shoot. He can create his own shots. He has to be the guy. I want him to step up and show everybody why he shouldn't be slept on in the NBA. To be honest.
Because I mean, Jason Tatum's 20. and he's gonna be he's gonna be in playoff series where it's a new experience. Like
Yeah.
and that's kind of the difference between um I feel like it's been, even though you never want players to get injured, I feel like it's really been beneficial for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to get more minutes because they've they've had to be thrust into situations where they usually wouldn't. I mean, Jason Tatum's guarding Kevin, was guarding Kevin Durant for most of the games against Golden State when probably Gordon Hayward would have had that role, and it's very different. And Marcus Morris, sixth man, um, he's probably going to have a bigger role. Um, and the second unit is just really it's really really struggling to find key offense, and their 3-point shooting has been pretty well. Kyrie shot 40% from the three. They've shot 38% from the three without him, 37% with him, and so yeah, I mean, I feel like for the first round matchup they can still win that.
Hmm.
Currently they would be facing Milwaukee. In terms of Milwaukee, Miami, Washington, do you think there's a matchup that favors them better?
I think it's Milwaukee, to be
Yeah,
honest. Giannis is a great player. I'll take the Kupo. He's a great player, but they don't have enough. Eric Bledsoe is a good defensive player, but I think they match up well, and I think I give it over to the Celtics because they have more. I know Giannis is going to have a phenomenal series. He's a great basketball player,
yeah.
but
I don't
is it
think they have enough
enough?
around him.
Yeah, I don't think they have enough on the bench either to say, okay, these guys are legit. But I think the Celtics have enough without Kyrie, without Gordon Hayward. They went 12-6. Those guys just put the cherry on top and add another dynamic to what Brad Stevens and the Celtics have already going. So I
Yeah,
think that's to be the favorable matchup because I think they can double team Giannis and then have a little leeway for the defense because you said they're a defensive mindset. They're Eastern Conference is number second. Well, no. Let me double check that. I want to give out false. I think they're number three.
who?
Um, I think Celtics on the defense.
Yeah, I think so.
They're number three. So I think that's the favorable matchup. That's
Yeah,
what I want to see.
yeah. I mean, Washington. I don't know if I want to. I don't think they want to see
Mm,
them
yeah, I don't
in
think
the first round with John Wall back. Even though Washington
Bradley
has had
Beal. Whew.
two devastating losses. They blew the 17-point loss to Cleveland, and then they had a loss to the Hawks, and they're now eighth. So yeah, I would think Milwaukee because I really like Giannis. Giannis is one of the best. It has shown that he can be a star in the league, but I just don't think they have enough around him. And Jabari Parker is still he's finding rhythm, but he's still not like the same Jabari Parker that he was when he was healthy. So I think that's going to be an interest. If it ends up being that, I think that'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm disappointed in him to be honest.
Jabari,
Yeah, I had high hopes when he came from Duke, like high hopes.
yeah.
Yeah, but the injury problem. I mean, you can't fault him for
You
the
can't predict
injuries, but
injuries. Yeah, you can't predict
yeah.
injuries.
So that'll kill somebody's career fast. But I'm sorry, I just had to add that.
Yeah. Um, the 76ers had I mean last night against Cleveland it was a very pivotal game in terms of who could possibly go end up with the third seed. Um, Ben Simmons and LeBron had two great performances. Ben Simmons had 27 points, 15 rebounds, 13 assists. LeBron had a 44, 11, and 11 stat line. And Philadelphia prevailed, and now they're currently at the three seed, and they're on a 13 game winning streak. The young talent with the high end production has just been fascinating, and they were the ninth team to win nine straight games by 10 plus points in league history. And so, I mean, before the season, the expectations were, look, they're young. It's going to take some time to figure out things, but now they're the third seed, and in the second round they could be facing Boston if they can keep that third seed and get past their first round matchup with probably Miami. So with how they've been doing, and they won five straight without Embiid, what are your thoughts on just what they're currently doing and how you think they can do in the postseason with everybody healthy?
Well, the famous slogan, trust the process.
Right.
Uh, we talked about, I think we talked about this last week, who has to step up. And I think Ben Simmons has stepped up to the plate and he has been knocking it out the park. Along with guys that have been in the league a long time. JJ Redick went off for a couple of games,
Yeah,
especially
28
last
points
last
last
night.
night.
It's when it, yeah. So he's hit the big threes. Marco Bellinelli's coming off the bench. He's giving great minutes. He's I don't know. These guys are finding rejuvenation and finding the fountain of youth with these older guys, veteran guys. So you have these young guys, and Markel Fultz, Ben Simmons, but you also have JJ Redick. You also have Marco Bellinelli. It's guys that have to step up, that has the role players. So now you don't have your big guy anchoring the offense, anchoring the defense. So you got to have role players to come in, shoot well. Now, if these guys don't shoot well, then the 76ers are nothing. These
Right.
guys have to shoot well. The Ben Simmons, he's doing everything I want him to do. I'm big on Ben Simmons. I hope you know
Yeah.
that, Wellington. I'm huge on
I
Ben
know.
Simmons because he's a big guy at a point guard position. He's doing everything the coaches ask him, everything to make ensure them that they win. He's stepping up. We still have to bring Fultz along. He's coming. He's coming along. He's slowly but surely. I think once he gets acclimated to what they're trying to do and start playing real basketball, these guys, and then Embiid comes back. Trust the process. But to answer
Yeah.
your question, if they do play Miami, I don't think they have a problem with Miami without Embiid. I think that
No.
that's how good they're playing right now. I don't. I like White House. I like Dwayne Wade. I like those guys in Miami. But
They're a gritty
I,
team, but I would still give the edge to Philadelphia.
yeah, most definitely because they're playing lights out basketball. And then the guys who have experience, like if JJ is on fire,
Yeah.
it's no stop. It's like him and J.R. Smith and JJ Redick are like the similar shooters. So if JJ's on, then he's going to be on all night. But he has to get on, and it's kind of hard to get him into that position to make shots, just like Jr. If Jr. is on, oh my gosh, what a
Well, yeah, and I think with J like with JJ, it's just like he's also that veteran presence.
yeah,
And
that
and
too.
and like you said, when he's in the rhythm, he's really good. I feel like he's more consistent than JR because I feel like JR is more streaky than JJ. But
Hmm.
um,
Later years, early years, maybe later years, we get that could be
right.
a debate,
Okay, yeah, early
topic.
year. Yeah, I'm thinking of early years because I feel like JJ
Yeah,
was a more consistent shooter. But yeah, I definitely see what you're saying with their shooters. I mean, and Bellinelli now, when they have that adding with their young talent, it's definitely a force to be reckoned with.
yeah. I just want Markel Fultz to just to get there. He
Right.
has to get there. I want him to get there before the playoffs, but it's looking like it's not going to be possible. But if he can turn it on, and then they can hold off until B comes back because they don't have a timetable when the B is coming back. They said 2 weeks, but we don't know if that's going to hold off to be true. But if he can get right, man, I see this team making it deep into the playoffs with every variable, every product of the team together as one. I think they make a big run. Trust the process.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the mantra, and um, just how they've. I mean, I think 49 wins right now, 49 or 50.
49, yeah, 49 and
Yeah,
30.
49 wins. Do you feel like they can? Because they've got three more games. I think Orlando, Milwaukee. I'm not sure the other team. Cleveland has two more games against the Knicks. Do you think Philadelphia can end up with this three seed?
I think they could be all three of these teams. So it's possible. It's definitely possible to get the 3 seed. I don't think it hurts them not being the 3 seed. If they're all the 4 seed, I don't think it hurts them at all. I think they're still in a pretty good shape to be successful in running to the finals. But Embiid has to be come
And
back.
this, if they had the fourth seed, second round they would have to face Toronto.
I think I
So
like that matchup.
you like that matchup?
I like that matchup. Hold off. Embiid comes back. I think they match up well. I do. I think their bench is enough. Bellinelli coming off, JJ Redick at the
So are you
two
saying they're going to get to the conference finals,
conference finals. It
or
just
do you think there's
depends.
a possibility?
It's a definitely possibility. These guys are good. They're
Yeah.
young, but they're good. They're really, really good. Now, if I keep saying this, it keeps reoccurring. If Markel Fultz can can come alive and come off the bench averaging like 16, 17 points
Right.
and dishing it out, being a facilitator, then these guys are unstoppable. Because the front five is going to do their jobs. Ben Simmons leading the pack. But it's a definite possibility. I don't think if they do go to 3 seed or the 4th seed, I think they're still in good great shape. I do like
Yeah.
Toronto, but I like that matchup too.
Yeah. And it's one of those things I feel as though you do have to have experience in the playoffs. You do have to kind of go through situations like, look, almost every great player in the league has gone through a lull where they couldn't get over the hump. Like we've talked about Chris Paul, James Harden, even
Mm-hmm.
LeBron had his moments where they had, playoff, failures and they were able to learn from those and and get to the point where they needed to get to in later years. So do you think they need to go through an experience like a almost just like a playoff failure to finally get it going, or do you think they're just ready now?
You're talking about the
The six,
76ers.
yeah, yeah, Sixers.
I think um I think this is where the slogan "trust the process" came from. I feel like they've been in the slumps for so long. It's time to have some positivity somewhere, and I think they're ready. I think they're not completely ready, but they're ready enough to make a run for it. You know, because
Yeah,
some teams you could be like the Lakers, who are super young, but not even close to be
not ready,
ready.
yeah, to be in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
So now you have a team that's all like ready, like they're like 85%. They're only 85% because Joel Embiid is out. And then they're only 85, another 85% because
Markel Fultz.
Markel Fultz.
Yeah,
He's a vital part to that. Now, if they can have move Ben Simmons to the either the 3 guard or the 2 guard and have Markel Fultz at point guard and Joel Embiid at the come on. That's scary.
yeah,
That's scary. But it has to get to that point where he can be comfortable. They can feel like it's comfortable to put him into the starting lineup and he can be, successful.
right.
But it
Well,
has to get to that point. Yeah.
yeah, it definitely should be interesting as they have about a few games left and where they end up in the playoff seeding. Devin Booker voiced his confidence in that the Suns are. He said earlier this week that he feels like Suns are going to be making moves this summer to to make a positive push for the next season. And worst record in the league currently, just obviously with Earl Watson and firing him after 3 games and the Eric Bledsoe situation. And he's Booker has shown he can be an elite player in the league. Obviously, scored the 70 points against the Celtics last season, and this season he's been averaging 24 points, 4 assists, 4.5 rebounds per game, and he's shooting 38% from the three. And so with their GM Ryan McDonough saying that he's going to give Devin Booker like a free reign and voicing his his interest in who they should get and who they should go after. Where do you feel like the Suns can what the Suns can do, and do you think they really are going to make positive moves this summer?
They have to. They can't solely depend on the lottery. So I was looking at their lottery picks. Last year they got Josh Jackson. Before that, Dragon Bender. Then they got Devin Booker, T.J. Warren, Alex Lim. All these guys are in the starting lineup except Josh Jackson. He's coming off the bench. So I think they have 76. No. I think it's 76 million to spare, and the big guys like LeBron and Paul George are the guys that are available in the free agency this year. I don't know. They have to get a solidified guy that's already has experience and has been in the league for a minute. That still has at least 3 to 4 years left on his resume. Because they're a young team. I mean,
Right.
they draft well, but it's a process thing. They have Devin Booker. He's a great player, but they need that. I don't know if they need to go small or big, and that's my dilemma right now. Because Capella and Marcus Smart comes off their contracts in 2019, and a couple more guys like Klay Thompson and different other guys. So I don't know if they need to go small or big because I haven't watched that much film on them. But that's my dilemma. I know they have some money to spare to go get guys, and I know GM say, yes, we're going to definitely be aggressive in the free agency and the off season and different things like that. But they have the money to spare. I just don't know what direction they will go to. That's
Yeah.
my dilemma.
Yeah, that's kind of like the dilemma, like you said, is what direction they want to head to, and what players can come in and have chemistry. I mean, Booker, he's gone through three coaches through his time there, and he's eligible for a 5-year deal, worth 156 million next season, and he'll be a restricted agent in 2019. But I mean, he's been adamant about wanting to be with the Suns long term. And do you really feel as though him being here could kind of sap his prime, or do you think like it's one of those things where he'll be better suited somewhere else?
Now, I think he's at the right team. To be honest, this is his team. It's
Yeah,
Devin Booker's team. Um, I think it's a position where he's LeBron, not when he was the Cavaliers in his prime, young guy knocking buckets down. But they need to build around him. Josh Jackson is a good player,
yeah.
but he's young.
He's
Yeah,
really
he's good.
liked the improvement. I mean, Booker's really liked the improvement. He's voiced his liking of Jackson's improvement later in the season.
Yeah, and then Elfrid Payton, he's not a big 3 point guy, but he can drive well. He's a slasher. He can facilitate. He gets better. He's not a big time point guard. He's not going to average 20, 25 points a game. That's not his MO. But his team is young. You saw TJ Warren, Dragon Bender. It's a young team, but they need that veteran presence to put them over the top. I think Josh Jackson next year I think he will be in the starting lineup. No doubts about that. But I don't know
Yeah.
what position he'll go. But I don't know. I think this is the only team where I looked at and I'm saying, I don't even know what direction they'll go into. Will they depend on the draft lottery, or will they try to go get a big time player and try to entice him enough to come?
Yeah, yeah. And they could have, I mean, they could have three first round picks in the 2018 draft. So maybe going in the draft, trying to get some talent there. But obviously, they need substantial talent as well as from
Mm-hmm.
already established players. Um, One more thing in the league, we're getting to a point where pretty much the season's about to wrap up and
Right.
awards are pretty much going to be decided. Um, MVP, you're going with Harden, right?
Yeah. Not
Okay.
unanimously,
Not
no.
unanimously. Okay. Defensive player of the year, Gobert.
Hmm.
Because I know you were
Yeah.
kind of like in. Okay, Gobert.
I'm gonna go Gobert. I'm gonna go Gobert.
Gobert, and then the one I was most interested in. Well, most improved player, I think Oladipo will win that award.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I
Most
feel as though
definitely.
the season Oladipo has had and what Nate McMillan has been able to do, it's been incredible. But the one I've really been interested in is Coach of the Year because you could go a ton of different directions. Um, And the two I've been kind of in between is Dwayne Casey and Brad Stevens. Because what Brad Stevens has been able to do this year, keeping this team afloat with a ton of injuries, and they're a second seed, and then Dwayne Casey, what with what he's been able to do, and maybe there's another coach that you're interested that you like for that award. Is there who do you like for Coach of the
LeBron James.
Year?
I'm serious, man. LeBron
Oh
James.
wow.
No. No, I like Brad
I was thinking
Stevens.
you're actually going with that.
Oh no. I was being facetious, man. No, of course. But I want to give it to Tyronn Lue
Really?
because the amount of that's on him to have one of the best players ever stood on the house. Just like Phil Jackson had so much pressure on him when he was with the Lakers, when he was with the Bulls to continue to win, to continue to be the face of the team without butting heads with the star guy, and then have health issues and going to different. It's just I want to give it to him. If they go to the conference finals and if they win it with a team that's not even close to the resemblance of when they won the NBA Finals or winning with the NBA Finals, he definitely deserves it.
Now they
He
are
definitely,
9-2 in their last 11 games. They're picking up steam.
yeah. And LeBron is is about to transition into a monster like he always does in the playoffs. He's already a great player in the regular season, and then he just transforms. Megatron, he just transforms into a different creature, man. It's crazy to watch that, and
Yeah, it really
a lot
is.
of people take that for granted.
And I saw an article about like what's the difference between regular season LeBron and playoff LeBron. And playoff LeBron is just his intensity on the defensive end and his alertness is that even at a higher degree. I mean, he's already phenomenal in the regular season, and what he's been able to do year 15 with highlight reels after highlight reel of just jaw dropping plays, and what he's been able to do year 15 has been incredible. But in the playoffs, it's really amazing what he's always able to accomplish.
Mm. Yeah, it's gonna be, but I think Tyronn Lue um, will get my pick, him or LeBron James.
So you think so you think with Tyronn Lue said last year that it's the job that he has in the NBA is the most stressful coaching job. Do you agree with that statement?
Most definitely. Look. He had to step away from the game. All these coaches have to step away from the game after a certain point. Especially when you're on a level and people expectations are extremely high, and there's no room for failure for some organizations, and there's no room for failure for some players on a basketball team, and to try to coach these guys, grown men, at that, and try to coach them and tell them different things that they think they already know, and whatever the case may be. But being a head coach of any organization, man, it is extremely tough, and it takes long hours, and I don't know.
I mean, but
But
specifically the Cleveland job, do you think it's the most stressful coaching job?
oh yeah, I think Kerr has it easy, to be honest,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's one sand, one back. I mean, ooh, wow, I messed up that one band, one sound. And Steve Kerr is so, like, he's so revolutionary. Well, I don't know. He's an evolved coach that allows his players to
Yeah.
coach, allows his players to voice their opinions.
Extremely
They're not,
innovative.
yeah, they're not out there bashing the coach or different things in interviews. Everybody's on the same page. But I'm not saying it's chaotic in Cleveland, but I'm not saying it's calm either. So
Right.
yeah, I definitely think specifically his job in Cleveland, man, yeah, it's up there.
It's
It's up
pretty
there, stress
stressful.
level. Yeah, very
Yeah,
stressful.
I, I'm gonna go with Brad Stevens.
Of course, I know you like
Uh,
Brad Stevens.
yeah. And I just think the job he's done, and I really was thinking, okay, Dwayne Casey, but it's just even with the news of added with the news of Kyrie, it's what he's been able to accomplish this season. It's just been incredible, and I think how he's just able to keep things together, and his in-game adjustments are phenomenal. That one play where Jaylen Brown hit the game winner against Utah, and what he was able to accomplish in that, what they were able to scheme in that final possession was very impressive. So yeah, I mean, and then some other coaches, Nate McMillan, Indiana,
Mm. Yeah.
Quinn Snyder, Utah, after losing Gordon
Mm.
Hayward.
Yeah.
I think Terry Stotts with Portland is another one. Even Greg Popovich,
The
the
stuff.
White Snowman.
Yeah, the White Houses and the White Snowman. Yeah.
uh, so, so yeah. Now for executive of the year, I would think Daryl Morey. Would you agree?
Yeah. No.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I would. Off the top of my head, just thinking of
Yeah.
a different execs, yeah, I would give them top of my head.
Yeah, so it should definitely be now are those awards going to be announced June again?
I believe so.
Okay. So yeah, it definitely should be interesting to see how those um things play out. Transitioning to college basketball, Villanova won their second title in the last 3 years against Michigan Monday night, a 17-point win, and Dante DiVincenzo had a phenomenal game, 31 points off the bench, 18 in the first half. And if I were to tell you National Player of the Year, maybe best player in college basketball, Jalen Brunson had 9 points, 4 fouls, you'd probably think that it was going to be a rough night for Villanova. But even without him having an extremely effective game, they were able to go on a 30 to 9 run late in the game, and um, uh, Mikal Bridges hit some big shots, and they were able to have just a dominant tournament run, winning every game by double digits. So with that added and what they've been able to accomplish, their 5-year run. I'm just gonna summarize it. Two championships, four Big East titles, 165 wins, three one seeds, and five top two seeds. So what are your thoughts on their win, their current win, and if this is a dynasty now?
What I liked about Villanova in the championship game was at first they started out slow. The
Yeah,
Wolverines, they were on fire.
Wagner was
And,
playing well.
yeah, and then the Villanova zeroed in and they start taking away the second chances for Michigan. They out rebound Michigan. I don't have the stats right now,
Mhm.
but I
It was a
just
lot. It
know
was a lot.
it was a lot. I watched the entire game. I sat down. I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this game. They out rebound, and then wow, I just lost my notes. Dante DiVincenzo, whatever his name is.
DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo.
DiVincenzo, thank you. Like I was really before we started the podcast, I was like, okay, I can't get his name wrong. I got it.
Just call him Dante. Just call him Dante if you want.
Dante. Well, number DiVincenzo. Okay, we got it. Whoppa. But no, but he surprised me. I looked as soon as I looked at the guy, as soon as the game, I was like, who's this guy? Coming down shooting threes like he's Steph Curry. Like
You didn't know
the
Dante?
amount of I did not. I did not know
Wow.
before the
Yeah,
game. I knew he was
this is
highly
his
recruited.
MO. He's a bona fide scorer. Very, very
Right.
productive scorer for them.
And coming off the bench, right? I think he was coming off the
Yeah.
bench. And then he ended up doing 37 minutes. That's crazy. But the limited and second chance abilities and Dante shooting well and on fire and often killing every run that the Wolverines try to do. He killed it by shooting 3 points. But I like what they did as a team. They didn't quit. They didn't let up. They put up to the metal and they didn't skirt. They didn't do that. That's funny. They didn't do anything of that. They played great team basketball, limiting second chances and then shooting well is always a formula to win. But to answer your question about the dynasty, they've been a dynasty. They've been the most consistent team besides North Carolina and Duke to be successful in the Final Four or whatever the tournament. They've been a dynasty. I've looked at Villanova just like UConn. We've seen UConn, but they for the past 5 years they've been dwindling down. But Villanova has been the most consistent team besides North Carolina and Duke to be in the. We expect to be in the big dance. Expect to be the number 1 seed, number 2 seed, whatever. But they've been a dynasty.
Yeah, and I mean with DiVincenzo, every time Michigan went on a run, he answered back,
Yeah,
and that was like the craziest part of it. It was just every time Michigan was inching closer, he would just close the door, and just it was very impressive. How do you think they do going forward? Do you think did they keep building this? I think Bridges is probably gone. Brunson is probably gone. Maybe Omari Spellman is gone. He is a freshman, but how do you think they do next year going forward?
I think Jay Wright recruits well, and I think players want to play for him and play for what Villanova stands for. Just like
Right.
Bama, when Bama started winning, a lot of players wanted to win. They want to win national championships. So they go to a team that they know they can be bred. They know that some guys may leave. They have opportunities for me to come in, step in, and be that pivotal guy for the basketball team. So I think they do well. They continue to do it. They recruit well ever since Jay Wright has got the reins and I forgot what year he was hired. I have the notes right here that he was hired in 2001. Yeah,
Hmm.
correct. 2001, 2002. So they'll be fine. They dominate the Big East all the time. Villanova is already a dynasty. They do fine. I think when they got Dante, I think they stole them from North Carolina and Duke, I believe.
Yeah.
So they'll do fine.
Yeah.
I pose this question though before excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt. Do you think Jay Wright is up there with Coach K and
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
When you have multiple championships in this era, two titles in the last three years with the one and done era and how tough that is, and
True.
they have experienced players and they're just they're just a well-coached team. Like they're a very enjoyable team to watch. And you were telling me like they reminded you of like the Spurs and how the consistency that they have. They're just kind of that consistent team that is well coached, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and they're not going to give you a lot of leeway to get back into a game like we saw Monday night.
Right. And that makes a great formula for football. I mean, football. Sorry, basketball team, winning team,
Right.
whatever. I was very impressed. I know, I had them losing
Yep.
in the final four, but that just solidified that how great a team and how great coach they are. How they rebound, how they box out, they get to the crash the boards. They're not worrying about transitioning all the time. They're worrying about getting eliminating second chances. So
And,
yeah,
and there's so many good players. When you look at that team, who was the head guy for you? Like who was the head honcho?
for Villanova,
Yeah.
I think you said it. Jalen Brunson.
Yeah. I
He
think so too.
was. Yeah, Jalen. I've watched Jalen throughout the season. That's why when I looking at it, when you just said it, it just refocused in my head. Like he did have 9 points.
Yeah.
He didn't do too much, and Dante stole the show. That's why I was like, "Who is this guy?" I looked at him. He was a highly recruited guy. It's like, "Oh wow, how did I miss him?" But yeah, I think Jalen Brunson is definitely the leader of the squad, but Dante just stole the show.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely did, and it was an incredible performance. Transitioning to the NFL, the Patriots traded their wide receiver Brandon Cooks and fourth round pick to none other than the Rams, who are constantly getting players. And they got
Right.
for a first round pick and I think a 23rd pick and sixth rounder. But I mean, Cooks, he was probably didn't meet all the expectations the Patriots expected. Did have a productive game in the AFC Championship game, and then went out, I think, in the Super Bowl with a concussion. So,
Mm-hmm.
with the Patriots kind of now in a position where they're trying to get assets in return and have build sustained success and long term success, and also through the draft. What are your thoughts on this trade and their current wide receiver depth? Because they also picked up Jordan Matthews from the Bills. Current, I think, this past Thursday.
Bill Belichick and Kraft and all those guys in New England are very strategic. They know what they're doing. Brandon Cooks, I think Brandon Cooks was successful in the 1 year that he was with the New England Patriots. Had 1,000 yard season, 65 catches. I think that's the number one. That's the average for a wide receiver with the Patriots. No wide receiver is bigger than the other guy. Everybody averages the same. Malcolm Mitchell, Edelman, Hogan, even Gronkowski doesn't have big numbers. Touchdowns, maybe yes, but yards, not so much. So I think more so it was for a cap room. They like guys to stay. They don't like paying people. I mean, you call them stingy, but they have a
Yeah,
formula when they don't like paying people. So I think his hit was he was 4 years, eight
they
million,
would have had
something
to
like.
pay him like 14 million next year.
Yeah. So they shipped him out. They brought in a guy, Jordan Matthews, who's looking for a revamped season because he's been injured. He hasn't been steady successful with the Eagles or the Buffalo Bills. So they bring in a guy they feel like they can coach him up, show him what to do in the system because New England Patriots is a system team. So they don't have to have big time wide receivers. They don't. So they're very smart. They got guys who will listen, learn, and read off Tom Brady because Tom Brady gets you the ball.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that. With them losing Amendola, and now you have Matthews playing in the slot. He's a big receiver, and that's a position where they usually have smaller receivers. I still
Mm-hmm.
feel as though their wide receiver depth is okay with Chris Hogan and Edelman, and I think still with Malcolm Mitchell. So do you feel as though it's not like the hugest? It's not. I mean, not hugest. I mean, the biggest concern for this team with the wide receiver position.
I think they have an upside to be honest because you look at their wide receiver core. Yes, they lose Amendola, but they still have Chris Hogan who's came on as a great wide receiver. You got Julian Edelman coming back. We don't know if he's completely healthy. You have Malcolm X, who's consistent from Georgia. Then you look at the guys who just added. They still have Cordell Patterson, who runs a 4-4, low 4-3, who can still do special teams and also stretch the defense. Then you look at Kenny Britt, who was successful with the Titans for a little bit, Baylor grad, and Matthew Slater. You look at Philip Dorsett. They have the guys. They're fine. That the wide receiver core is fine. Tom Brady is the type of quarterback, or Belichick is the type of head coach that can find guys to be systematic or can go with the system. You can be role players. No one is bigger than the wide receiver core, so these guys are fine. I think their biggest concern is the secondary. It's always been the
Yeah.
secondary. So still have Patrick Chung, Malcolm Butler's out. You have I forgot the rookie guy. Hold up, is right in front of my face. Still have Stephon Gilmore, who's pretty good. Oh, McCourty, Jason McCourty. Yeah, he's the rookie guy who stepped in for Malcolm Butler in the championship. So
Yeah.
I think that's their focal point where they need to focus on. Wide receiver core, they're fine. Offense, offense they fine. They make great moves. You got Rex Burkhead, James White, Michael Gillisley, Jeremy Hill. They have enough players, offensive wise.
Yeah, it's definitely something where I feel as though that's a position they're fine at, even though they did lose Amendola, traded Cooks away. So it definitely should be interesting to see how they go forward and make some moves in the draft. Another topic in the league is RG3 going to the Ravens. Signed a 1 year deal on Wednesday with them, and um, he's he's had a string of not playing as much. He didn't play any last year, and in the 2016 season, he was 1-4 in 5 starts with the Browns, and obviously health issues have been a major concern for him. Missed 16 games between 2015 to 2016, and the 2012 year with the Redskins was an epic year for him. And ever since then, he's kind of regressed and not been that same type of player since he was benched for Kirk Cousins his final year in Washington. So with Baltimore, it seems like it's one of those things where this could be his last chance to show that he can be a reliable backup quarterback to Flacco and have a chance to be productive in the league. So what are your thoughts on this, 1 year deal move?
Well, man, to be honest, I was kind of thrown off
Right.
when they got him. I love Robert. I've been a fan of Robert since Baylor. Since my 10th grade year of high school, I wanted to go to Baylor just because of Robert Griffin, and meeting him in person was phenomenal as well. But as a football player, Harbaugh said he think they got to steal, and I don't think they got to steal at all. Because you look at film, well, not even looking at film, you look at his injury history. He torn his ACL, MCL in college, and then he tears it again in NFL. Then he breaks his ankle, and then it's reoccurring injuries. And then
Right.
on the other side, he has a strong arm. He's mobile quarterback, but he's not accurate at times. He doesn't anticipate or throw open the wide receivers or tight ends or whatever. He allows too many sacks. I think week 16 and week 15 of his last year with the Browns, one game he was sacked 7 times, another game he was sacked 5 times. Not because of the offensive line, because he holds the ball too long. He doesn't anticipate throwing. He doesn't read correctly. It's different things. So if you got to still in a quarterback that cannot read the defense or anticipate the wide receivers to be open or trust the offensive line, then that's not a steal. I like Robert as
Yeah.
a person, but as a player, I don't know understand what the process was of saying, okay, we need Robert Griffin to be our second guy. Because if Joe Flacco goes down, then you have Robert Griffin right there to be the second string quarterback, to be the starting quarterback after that. So I don't
And
trust that.
And originally he said the Ravens and the Cardinals were the two teams he was interested in, and the Ravens were trying to court him last year, but he said it was too early because he didn't feel like he could learn the offense that well before the season started. So the Ravens seem to have some interest in him, but like you said, I don't think this is really that productive of a move because there's inconsistencies. And when we're talking about Manziel, I don't think he's like at that point, but there's just there's just a lot of downside to it. I don't see a lot of the upside with it.
Right. And the only way I think Robert can be successful is the offense has to be completely focused on him. He's
Yeah.
better on the move, especially in the 2012 season. They did a lot of bootleg, simple zone scheme reads for him that made simplify the offense for him. Kind of made him a dual threat because defense were worried about his running ability as well as the bootleg to get him to come down. So I think that's was the reason why they were so successful, and then had a good running game in Alfred Morris. But
Yes.
I don't think Joe Flacco, or not Joe Flacco, I don't think the Baltimore Ravens have that type of offense for him to
Mhm.
be successful in. That's why I was kind of scratching my head. Why would they go out there? Because they're, I think, a pro team, pro style team. I want to
Yeah,
say
pro style. Yeah.
pro style team under center. Completely, he doesn't do successfully under center. Robert does. So I thought, wow, but it's only a 1 year deal, so it's not they're not losing much out of it. I wish him the best though, but for just as seeing as a player and scouting him, I don't understand the move at all.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of you know a little befuddling, but
Yeah.
they not a move I feel as though is that productive of a move. Um, Transitioning to boxing slash UFC. First, we're gonna start with UFC. At UFC 223 a media day, Conor McGregor stormed into Barclays Center and was charged with 3 counts of misdemeanor assault, 1 count of felony criminal mischief, and threw a hand dolly through the window of a bus that was carrying UFC fighters and I think Michael, um, Chelsea, and Ray Borg. They cannot compete tonight because of facial lacerations and corneal abrasions from the shattered glass. And Dana White was, obviously in disgust with it. He was planning on working a deal for a fight for McGregor, but obviously that's out of the discussion now. And I think Connor was released with a 50K bail yesterday, and so it's it's one of those things. He really hasn't fought in a real UFC fight since 2016. Obviously, had the mega fight with Mayweather last year, but with everything he's turned into now, this revealing a side of him that it was just extremely reckless. What were your thoughts on this fiasco?
Um, to be honest, it was kind of jaw dropping. Well, I don't know too much about Connor. I know that he came from nothing, worked his way up to the top. Became one of the faces of MMA, and now you're about to close another deal, and then you have those moments where you just spiral out of control, and then you bring because it wasn't just him; it was other fighters that was going to fight
Yeah,
soon. So a lot of guys have been cut; they can't fight it, or some guys can't fight because they got glass in their eyes or different things like that. So it's like this whole situation is bad for MMA because a lot of people think MMA is a joke, anyways. To be honest, because MMA when it first started, a lot of people really didn't watch it. It was more, I think, it was more brutal back then than it is now. It's transitioned, changed, and evolved. But boxing is like the number one, contact, not contact sport, but hand to hand combat sport. So I don't know, man. Connor, you just dug yourself in a hole. Your image is tainted. I don't know if you'll lose fans, but well, I don't know how to comment on it, to be honest, because
yeah. It's really one of those things where just the sheer recklessness of it is just really baffling. I think to Dana White and that. So to sum this up, do you feel as though Dana White, he's in a position now where he's kind of got his hands tied and he's like, I don't really know if I want to work with this guy long term? And I mean, somebody who's in cross reference of I think Don King and Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson was incarcerated and that issue, but they found a way to come back and work together. Do you think that can happen, or do you think this was at another level?
Nah, he'll make a deal with Conor McGregor in the later down the road. Right now, it's too hot.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean currently, yeah, currently.
yeah, currently no, I don't think it's the best suit for MMA face of MMA right now. But later, because Conor McGregor is a cash cow, a lot of
Yeah,
people he brings people in. He's just like Money Mayweather. He drags people in, brings big crowds. So later down the line, yeah, of course they definitely do business. But right now, it's too hot. It's no, I don't think it's the best interest for the MMA or any other fighter for that because that'll bring tension between different fighters and this can happen again. But this is not the first time things spiral out of control. Look at Daniel Cormier and Johnny
hmm
Bones Jones who fought at a conference. So this is not the first time things have been erratic in the MMA world. So,
yeah,
but this takes the cake. Breaking
yeah.
windows and stuff like that. That's crazy.
Our final topic for today is Canelo and Gennady Golovkin. Canelo withdrew from the extremely anticipated rematch with Gennady, and um, he was originally under suspension because of two doping violations, as the Nevada State Athletic Commission imposed them, and the fight was scheduled to be on May 5th, and Canelo said, quote, "I am truly shocked about what has happened. For those who have doubts and suspicions about my integrity, I have always been and will always be a clean fighter," end quote. And so it's one of those things where Gennady wasn't surprised by this. He felt as though he was saying like this is what his camp does. I'm not surprised. And there were so many anticipated rematch. This could have gone under. Obviously, in the same week of Cinco de Mayo and all of that fanfare. What are your thoughts on this fight not going through now?
I think it if you were, I don't know who they were replaced with Canelo uh, that can have this much hype going in it. They'll find out, I think, on May 5th or something like that. I was reading on it. But I think this rematch is what boxing needs because I
Yeah,
know we talked about it a long, long time ago. We haven't talked about
yeah,
boxing in a while, but we said the face of boxing, they don't have a clear face right now. You got Deontay Wilder, you have different heavyweights, but light heavyweights, welterweights, all these guys, you don't have a face. So these guys are the face of that league. So now you don't have the rematch because he's been tested for different drugs. I think he's been for a year or two. Um, so it's kind of hurt. I wanted to see it because I was waiting for it to be
yeah.
honest. Like I was gonna go watch it with a couple of friends because I missed the first one. Um, but yeah, man, I think it hurts boxing and it actually hurts the camp of Canelo because of I mean, I know you want people to think that your integrity is, you've been a clean boxer, but you tested positive. So what does that make you? A liar now? All right.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of difficult. Now they have to scramble and find somebody to fight them. So
I'm just gonna say
it's not gonna be the same.
some of the rematches that this fight could have been compared to, and if you'll probably recognize some of these, but Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti the third,
Hmm.
um, Eric Morales, Antonio Barrera the third, Sugar Robinson, Carmen Basilo,
Hmm.
the second, and Rafael Marquez and Israel Vasquez the second. I mean, that was the cross reference hype you could have looked to for how great this rematch was propelled to be, and how and the fanfare that was with it. So it definitely is a devastating blow. I feel like um, with the doping violations and all of those things, just the integrity of it. Like you said, Canelo doesn't want anybody to think that he's not a clean fighter, but it definitely has put a major dent in what could have been a great fight. Um, well, that wraps it up for today. Always good talking to you, man.
Yeah, likewise, man. Great topics
Yeah.
as always. Wellington picks the best topics to let y'all know.
I try. I try. um, but we were talking about this last week. um, and it finally is official. I was kind of overreacting. I was. I actually was. I don't usually do that, but next week we're planning to talk to my former classmate and of speech, Tommy Campbell, all things Miami Heat, and from the 2006 Finals, Big Three era, their conference semifinals lost to Toronto in 2016, and their playoff push currently. We're going to discuss all those things, and it's definitely something I'm looking forward to there. Well, I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. This is Full Scope. See you later.